Yeah, ready for the next speaker. Adam, developer and a community member of Ravencoin from Ravenland.
Very much.
Cheers, Eddie. Hey everyone, how's it going? Hopefully I can get you a little bit excited about Ravencoin. It's a real privilege and pleasure to give you this presentation, so thank you for everyone who's come. Who am I? Well, I'm Adam Bull. I'm the founder of Ravenland, blockchain analyst and automation engineer. I was previously a Linux administrator at Ragspace and I was in Managed Cloud. Yeah, let's not spend too much time on that. What is Ravenland? Well, Ravenland is a blockchain software house. It's a very small team. There's only a few of us, being a part-time developer. We want to create the first community-owned platform as a service STO on Ravencoin. What that really means is we want to create an open retail platform where customers aren't held hostage by commercial equity groups or large retail companies. It's not something that is going to be easily done, but we hope that we get there eventually. We want to create an honest, completely non-debt-based economic system using Ravencoin. When I started working on Ravenland, I was just some guy in my parents' bedroom trying to understand what it really was. It's somewhat a non-debt-based economy, and that's one of our goals at Ravenland. And the other goal was to make it open source and to make it community-driven, which is just really making a cryptocurrency relevant to people in retail and commerce. Why is Ravencoin and IPFS? Why Ravencoin and IPFS? Well, this graph, you won't be able to see it. The growth of average web page size and number of objects, January 1995 to July 2014. We can see there is a hyperbolic exponential relationship between the demand for file systems and computers. This shouldn't be unexpected. We've already gone through the IBM personal computer revolution. We went from a period of using photocopiers, fax machines, and the 82086AT, the first computer, and that was what really created the internet. First, we had a bunch of computers, they're all connected together, right? So how are you going to, they're all disconnected, so how are you going to connect them together into a larger system? And that was what the internet became. Those of us who were around at the time, it was just a point where no company could really agree how to do it. Does it sound familiar? No company can agree how to set up a network, and we see exactly the same effect in crypto, except that it's not a network, so to speak, but it's an ecosystem. And I see that word used all around, ecosystem. We want to build an ecosystem, an IoT ecosystem. But what does that look like? Well, with Ravencoin, it looks like Bitcoin, but with this thing called torrent technology attached. Now, I know a lot of people probably haven't described the technology in that way, but essentially, IPFS is a DHT network, so it's a dynamic hash table. It allows you to store the torrent, if you will, or the metadata hash, onto the blockchain. And what you can do with that is you can essentially link it to metadata. You can link it to your commercial data. It could be tickets for a train. It could be a lottery fund. It could be an assayer. It could be an assayer that wants to certify gold for your equity group or trade fund. It could be really a variety of things. But how do we actually define revolutionary software? What is revolutionary? And when can we expect the next revolution? Well, revolutionary software is what people associate with the Tech 500, right? All of those companies. But what they're actually using is they're using old technology. It's been around for 5 or 10 years. Like Python, MySQL, and Java, Ruby on Rails, like YouTube, and so on. So revolutionary software isn't really what language you use. It's what it lets people do with the already existing ones, right? So we can work out something from that. What does that really mean? It kind of means that revolutionary software isn't built on a new technology. It's built on a new concept. It lets people do something they never thought about doing before. Just think about that, or something that maybe they never thought about ever doing. So yeah, Ravencoin is built on Bitcoin, which is a cryptographic currency, and IPFS, which is a torrent technology. They're both revolutionary technologies. I'm sure we can all agree about that. Ravencoin in its second layer, as you can see, there's a lot of different uses for the chain. I won't go into them too much detail, because it is a large presentation and there is a lot of slides, so I do apologise if I sound slightly like a crazy maniac going through them all. Configuring running a Ravencoin Linux wallet. For those that want to know more, and perhaps might want to experiment themselves, this slide is for you. As you can see at the bottom there, that's what the Raven debug log looks like. It tells you what's going on in the wallet. At the top there is the actual configuration for the wallet. So when we actually run the Raven daemon, that's the thing that gets loaded. You can actually pass them as a parameter in the command line. I won't go into it too much. I know that we're not all technical. But for those that are interested, this is how you do it. Installing Ravencoin, installing and running Ravencoin is very easy to do. You can get up and running and you can start doing transactions with your retail store, or whether you're just a developer wanting to experiment, or if you just have a standard desktop wallet on your Windows machine, you can do it without doing any of this. Just create an IPFS hash on something like upload.io or the Ravenland upload service. I'm going to skip this slide. So Raven CLI help is your friend. If anyone wants to develop a Ravencoin, this is where I started. When I started, I knew nothing, and now I know a little bit. And I'm happy to share that with you. So what does the anatomy of a Ravencoin IPFS hash actually look like? It looks like something like this. So you've got a contract URL, you've got a contract hash, you've got a symbol, you've got a name, you've got some kind of description. You're saying who's issued that asset, or perhaps maybe it's an assay certificate that you've linked in there. And if you've tagged that asset as unissuable, you'll never be able to change it. So it acts as a form of proof. So patenting, copywriting, anything like that. So this is making the Raven CLI cool. List assets. So we're listing some Ravenland, Ravenland matching names there at the top, and also a little query of Raven CLI list assets. You can do this in the Windows wallet as well under debug. So this is how you actually start to get data out. And here's an asset called Picard, very popular one. What does Picard actually look like? Well, we have to call the get asset data function to actually find out. And you can see we're told several important things by Ravencoin. First thing is the name, the amount, how many units you've got, whether it has an IPFS hash, maybe it doesn't. So we need to know that stuff. And then actually retrieving the IPFS hash. As we can see, we've got a nice Star Trek film here. We can receive information through the car or other tools. So we can literally use Ravencoin as a library, but we can also use it as a distributor. So this is a simple multi-test asset set that I've put together. It's surprising, really. It's quite difficult to figure out how to do these things, but once you do, they're very easy. And hopefully that comes across in this presentation, and it can help people that want to develop a little bit more about it. So what does the faucet app do? Well, it receives and sends assets to and from Ravencoin addresses. Fairly simple. But then we have something called Ravencoin RPC lib. This is just like an include function that we call in our script, like a standard website would in PHP. And all we do is we programmatically send trout to our asset name and our address. So this is something that someone could set up in 10 minutes or so, with the help of someone like myself, I'm sure. And it's remarkable, really, because once you've got past that point, you're already at the view state. So you're already rendering objects, and it gives you a much. So so you're already rendering objects. You can obviously do optional validation as you normally would with the traditional website technology. So you're not limited in any way. Although Ravencoin isn't like Ethereum's EVM, actually it makes you work a little bit harder and create a kind of second layer that does stuff. And I appreciate this. It doesn't come out very well on the slides, so perhaps you can review it later. So this is the decentralized film and sharing service that we created using IPFS and Ravencoin. It's essentially using Bitcoin and torrent technology to draw this page, and it could represent some kind of revolution in retail and privacy. Also, obviously, the dereplication that will occur on the IPFS network is like a CDN. So the more people that use it, the more efficient that it becomes. It's a great thing, because it means that we're all using hard disks, we all lose space, and it's very inefficient. You have to buy new ones. What if you didn't have to buy disks? Well, you might be using something like IPFS, you might be using S3 or something like that, but Ravencoin and IPFS allow you to do special things that you couldn't do before, such as encrypting it, or securely distributing it between an IPFS private swarm, which is possible. So how does the film application work? Well, it works pretty much the same way that the corset works. I'm not going to oversell it. And it works pretty much the same way that you'd expect legacy technology to work. Image source, HTTPS, //gateway.ravenland.org. What that is an endpoint. It just allows us to call the IPFS hash. We throw in the IPFS hash here, and all of a sudden it works like a normal legacy website. So you can do websites with Ravencoin fairly easily. This is hopefully what our next revision of the software will look like. Does look a lot like Plex, that's not intentional. So here's actually a technical breakdown for anyone who's interested. That's how you would do this kind of thing in PHP. So you define a unique asset in PHP that you want to retrieve, and then you would define a title based on that unique asset, and then you would decode the URL for the IPFS hash that was contained within, and I'm sure you can see it's a little bit far back. IPFS hash is contained within it. So not only does it grab the assets from Ravencoin, it also grabs the JSON or any file from IPFS hash as well. And as you can see, JSON, file, get contents, decode URL, that's pretty much it. That's very simple to do, and anyone can do this. We also created a little operating system. It's nothing spectacular, but it basically allows you to run Ravenland out of the box and IPFS as well. I'm actually selling these at cost. There isn't any profit in it. They're up €60 each. I'm running out of time, but hopefully you can get an insight into how much you can do with Ravencoin. So I'm going to skip a few slides because there's a few redundant ones in here. So we actually created an asset explorer, and I just wanted to show you a little bit how we receive stuff from it. So do feel free to take a picture or review the presentation later, because I do know I have a lot of slides to go through. So this is a SQL query. This is a database that we populated from Ravencoin and IPFS, and it just allows us to keep track of what's going on Ravencoin. This is a little script that I wrote that does that. I won't waste too much time on this. But yeah, just to give you an idea of kind of introduction, programmatic example of how you might retrieve these assets. So this is a very complex piece, but basically all it does, let's get all of the assets from Ravencoin. Let's find out what the IPFS hashes are, and let's put them in a database so we can know what they are. So we started about June 2018. We've expanded quite a lot over that time. We now have, I'd say, about 10, 15 servers to kind of bring these services to you. And many of you might be familiar with the scratch card game that we created just to showcase you what is possible. Obviously, this could be much more than scratch cards. It could be an entire casino game. It could be roulette. It could really be anything that you like. You could run a video rental service from it. You could run, really, kind of the options that you have are unlimited. And the point of this presentation, I hope that you will go away with it, is to see that when it comes to Bitcoin, Ravencoin, or Bitcoin and IPFS, there really is some power, and there really is a way to do this in just a few days. We created this application in a few days. So what are our ultimate goals? Create products, show demonstrability, create products before we raise money for our STO, have an honest funding model, and to forward our objective, and also common stock for all of our holders. We want to give the community open source software, and we kind of want to serve the Ravencoin community and offer this service in public. And that is about it. I'm sure probably quite a few people might have questions to ask, perhaps. No questions? Well, thank you very much for listening. You've been great. Cheers. You're welcome.
It's good? Okay, thanks. Also, quick note that if you're looking for the presentations, everything will be uploaded to ravencoinmeetup.org, ravencoinmeetup.org, so everything that's here will get uploaded there. And our next